So, this upcoming new moon in Sagittarius, the universe is going to be asking you a very important question. Are you ready for a new adventure? Not, do you think you're ready? Or maybe you're ready? No. Are you really, really ready for a new adventure? Everything about this new moon in Sagittarius is about growth, it's about expansion, and it's about broadening your horizons. However, there may be some cleanup work that's got to be done beforehand so you can literally start to soar. So in this video, I'll be discussing everything you need to know about the upcoming new moon in Sagittarius and what you can do to make the most of it. So stick around. You definitely don't want to miss this. Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. If this is our first time meeting, welcome. My name is Mel. I'm a professional astrologer, and I'm the founder of divinefeminineworks, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So like I said before, this video is all about the upcoming new moon in Sagittarius, going down on Tuesday, December 12th, at 6:31 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, so you know the deal. Whether you've watched my previous videos or not, we've all kind of gotten accustomed to the energy of new moons. So new moons are all about new beginnings. It's about planting new seeds, and it's about setting new intentions. The lunar cycle starts again, and in a way, so can we. The slate is wiped clean. We've got this fresh new soil that we can plant these seeds and nurture over the foreseeable future so we can see our intentions come to fruition, right? It's all about the manifestation process. Now, the interesting thing about new beginnings, right, is that a lot of times it may require things of us that we haven't necessarily tapped into yet. You know the phrase, to have something you've never had before, you've got to do something you've never done before. And that is the essence of this new moon in Sagittarius. A lot of times the things that we want, the things that we want to bring life to, or that we want to manifest or bring to fruition requires a different level from us. It requires a different facet of our personality. And in the case of this new moon in Sagittarius, it is going to require us to expand and to grow. And that's why one of the major themes of this new moon in Sagittarius is the concept of expansion. The universe wants to give us abundance. The universe wants to have us live our best lives. But sometimes we may be standing in our own way for a variety of reasons, right? However, this new moon in Sagittarius is urging you to break past your comfort zone and expand into the person you want to be so that you can have the life that you ultimately dream of living. All right, so without further ado, let's get into all of the important components of this new moon in Sagittarius, and again, how you can make the most of this expansive energy. All right, so first things first, let's cover the basics. Let's talk Sagittarius energy and let's talk new moon energy. So Sagittarius is the 9th sign of the zodiac. So we just came off this energy of Scorpio. Actually, as a matter of fact, the way that the astrology is set up, we still have some prominent Scorpio energy lingering, but I'll get to that a little later in the video. But we come out of this energy of Scorpio that is deep, that is erotic, that's very under the surface, right? Everything about Scorpio is about uncovering the truth, right? No matter how ugly or beautiful that truth seems to be. And so when we're in Scorpio energy, we have this energy of being at sort of the bottom of the ocean, right? It's dark, it's cold, it's wet. We have all these emotions, it's intense. And then we get to Sagittarius energy and it's like we go from the bottom of the ocean to outer space. Everything about Sagittarius energy is about soaring. It's about expanding. It's about adventure. It's about reaching new heights. It's about thinking of the future. Sagittarius energy, needless to say, is over the top. But most importantly, it's expansive. You take the information that you learned from Scorpio, right? That deep truth, that intensity, and you use that to reach new heights during Sagittarius season. This is when we embark on a new adventure. One of the characteristics of Sagittarius energy that I love the most is that it's hopeful and it's optimistic. When we're able to see the bigger picture, we have hope for the future. We're optimistic that things can really turn out the way that we want them to. We're sort of a little dreamy, a little fantastical. We're sort of kind of wearing rose-colored glasses to a certain extent. But most importantly, we're looking to the future and we're looking to expand ourselves. We're looking to grow, whether it's spiritually, whether it's mentally, could even be physically, depending on where Sagittarius is in your chart, but it's all about growth and expansion. Now, Sagittarius energy also has inherent in it this element of risk and spontaneity. Don't forget, Sagittarius is a fire sign, so it's all about passion. It's all about spirit. It's all about reaching for new heights and being willing to take certain risks in order to do so. Growth requires a certain amount of energy. Think of it like its sister element sign, Aries, right? Aries is that big bang, that initial blowout, right? That initiates things, that starts things, right? There's a lot of physical force behind it. Now, in order to soar, right? Like I said before, we're going from the depths of the ocean with Scorpio, and in Sagittarius, we're soaring to new heights. That takes a lot of physical energy also. And inherent in that physical energy is risk. Now, not reckless risk, right? This is more like calculated risk. This is risk that is in alignment with the bigger picture, right? And so we're willing to take risks. We're willing to be a little more spontaneous. And Sagittarius has a way of pushing us lovingly to a certain extent. But remember, there's force that's required in order to soar. So Sagittarius energy tends to push us out of our comfort zone. It gets us to see things from a different perspective, especially things that may be foreign to us, things that are really different viewpoints, different faiths, different creeds, different opinions. Sagittarius wants you to see it all so that you break out of your comfort zone, you break out of your limited way of thinking, and you broaden your mind and you broaden your horizons. Again, Sagittarius is going to push you out of your comfort zone to expand, and so will this new moon. This is the new moon. Regardless of wherever Sagittarius is in your chart, this is the new moon where you're going to want to do things differently. This isn't about the tried and true. This isn't about playing it small because you may believe that you're not going to get what you want, or there's so many factors that stand in the way of your dream coming to reality. This is the time where you want to be a little risky, you want to be a little bold, and you really want to tap into your spirit. What does your spirit want? What does your spirit need? What do you need to grow into? Who do you need to become in order to have these things that you want? Remember I said before, to have something you've never had before, you've got to do something you've never done before. So when it comes to this new moon, which is again all about planting new seeds, setting new intentions, this is the time to embark on a new adventure. This adventure could be literal, right? You could be planning a trip overseas to someplace you've never been before. It could be spiritual. It could be getting deeper into what your spirit wants and understanding how spirituality works as a whole. Or it could be setting your sights on a goal that may seem so far away, that may seem so over the top, that requires you to grow and expand into someone you've never been before, to have something you've never had before. So this is the time to break out of your comfort zone. This is the time to change your perspective on things. Sagittarius energy will have you seeing things from all different vantage points in order to enlarge your vision, expand your vision. This is the energy with which you're going to want to plant these seeds at this new moon in Sagittarius. It's not about playing it safe. It's not about playing it small. It's about dreaming big. However, there's going to be some caveats to that, right? And I'll get into that a little later. But by and large, the energy of this new moon in Sagittarius is about soaring to new heights and expanding into the person that you were ultimately meant to be. All right. So now that we've talked a little bit about Sagittarius energy and new moon energy, let's talk about the numerology of this new moon in Sagittarius and how it plays into the bigger picture of everything going on. I love including numerology in my explanations because it always provides a little more depth and a little more color to whatever it is that I'm examining. And so when it comes to the numerology of this new moon in Sagittarius, we're going to be examining the number 2, because this particular new moon is going down at 20 degrees of Sagittarius. In numerology, you always reduce numbers down to a single digit. So 2 plus 0 is 2. Hence, number 2 is the number of this particular new moon. All right. So 2 has a lot to do with partnership, right? Whenever we think of 2, we think of a pair, we think of relationships, right? Because that has a lot to do with partnership and how we relate to people. But I want to say that when it comes to 2, it's also dealing with the concept of choice. You got 2 things. A lot of times you got to pick one over the other, right? Even when we talk about Libra energy, which has a lot to do with the number 2 and a lot to do with partnerships, it's sort of this balance, right, between 2 things. But the energy, the undercurrent of the number 2 as it relates to this new moon in Sagittarius has a lot to do with choice. And this choice is, I feel like we've come to a point where either shit or get off the pot, essentially, okay? So this choice is, right, we just said the Sagittarian energy is pushing you out of your comfort zone. It's getting you to do it's getting you to do things differently so that you can have new and exciting things in your life. And the choice ultimately remains with you, right? Thankfully, we have the gift of free will. So what do you choose? Do you choose to go a different route? Do you choose to choose something different for yourself? Something that may be more aligned with your spirit? Or do you stick with the tried and true? Do you focus on what's worked or tradition or things like that, right? Like the choice is yours. You have the energy to do something new, different, and exciting right now. But if you don't want to take advantage of that, that's completely up to you. However, we've come to a point, and I wanted to say impasse, and I think that we have come to an impasse at this particular point in time in history, in life, where it's time to move on. It's time to evolve. It's time to expand. And many of us are realizing, and we're being shown by the universe, where we are being limited. Either where we're being limited by ourselves, like where we're standing in our own way, whether our values and the structures upon which we live our lives are limiting us, whether our faith is limiting us. And everything about this new moon in Sagittarius is going to show you where you are being limited. And the choice is ultimately yours. You can remain limited, you can remain small, or you can allow the universe to expand you, right? The choice is yours. That's inherent in the number 2, okay? Now, when it comes to number 2, right, in terms of numerology, it's associated with Taurus, which is the second sign of the zodiac. And it's also associated with Cancer and the moon. Now, I love that this new moon is connected to Taurus. And when I speak about the astrology, I'll go more into depth about this. But Jupiter, the ruling planet of Sagittarius, is actually in the sign of Taurus. So you're not only going to want to look at where Sagittarius is in your chart, but you're going to want to look at where Taurus is, because Jupiter is doing some things in Taurus that's going to be tied to the energy of this new moon in Sagittarius. So it's all about values, right? Jupiter in Taurus is trying to get us to expand our values so that our values truly reflect our spirits, okay? And Taurus tends to be stubborn. Taurus is an earth sign. It's the first of the earth sign. It's stubborn. It's grounded. It's really rooted in what it believes. And for many of us, although this is a new moon and it's a time to plant seeds and set intentions, I feel like many of us are going to become very aware of where our values may be limiting us and preventing us from expansion. So that's going to have to be addressed before we can plant these new seeds, because if we're planting these new seeds based on old values, guess what? We're not going to soar. We're not going to experience difference in our lives. We're not going to expand and grow. We're just going to experience more of the same. And again, that's your choice. Inherent in the number 2, are you going to stick to the same, or are you going to experience something differently? Now, also inherent in the number 2, like I said before, is the energy of Cancer and the moon. And in terms of tarot, the number 2 is associated with the card, the High Priestess. So Cancer, the moon, High Priestess, this all has to do with intuition. Now, Sagittarius is a very spiritual sign. It has a lot to do with faith, right? When we're seeing the bigger picture, we're sort of seeing a holistic view, a spiritual view of the world, or whatever it is that we're looking at, right? So inherent in the energy of this new moon in Sagittarius, you're definitely going to have to tap into your intuition. This isn't necessarily a moon where you're thinking about things or using your mental faculties or trying to make logical sense of these new things that you want or these new seeds that you want to plant. This is all about your intuition. This is allowing your intuition to guide you. And understand that a lot of times when we let our intuition guide us, our intuition may be at odds with our logic. Remember, Sagittarius wants to expand us. The universe wants to grow us, help us develop. So perhaps the seeds that you're planting are going to require you to grow into something or expand something, which may hurt a little bit, right? Growing pains may be associated with this new moon in Sagittarius because we are breaking out of the mold, right? And we are expanding ourselves in only the way that Sagittarius can do it, right? Now, also inherent in the number 2, as it relates to this new moon in Sagittarius, is this element of play and fantasy. So also, when I look at the numerology, I look at these things called the Sabian symbols. And these give archetypal stories for every single degree of the zodiac. And when it comes to 20 degrees of Sagittarius, it talks about play, make-believe, and fantasy. So again, this fits into the energy of Sagittarius perfectly because Sagittarius is all about reaching for the stars and soaring. It requires imagination. It requires us to, I'm not going to say fake it till you make it, but I'm going to say play. Be playful about the things that you are trying to manifest. Sort of take on the role of whatever it is you're trying to manifest, even if you don't currently embody it. And also, don't take this too seriously. This isn't a new moon where you're really using your mind. I mean, we're always using our mind, right? But I mean, this isn't something where you have to make logical sense of things. Like, oh, I want this because I know I can get it. Or it makes logical sense for me to do this. Or based on my previous values, the values that I've been raised on, I should want this. This is not the new moon for that. This is the time to play, for make-believe, for fantasy, and for us to dream a big dream. This is not the time to play small at all right? So when it comes to the numerology of this new moon, the choice is ultimately yours. Are you going to soar or are you going to stay grounded where you are? All right, definitely some food for thought. All right, so now that we've talked about the numerology, let's get into the details of the astrology and see what the sky is looking like for this new moon in Sagittarius. All right, so let's talk astrology. So I want to break it down into 3 important components related to the astrology of this new moon. So new moon are when the sun and the moon are conjunct, meaning they occupy the same space in the sky. And like I said before, the sun and the moon are going to be at 20 degrees Sagittarius, okay? So Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So not only are we looking at Sagittarius in our natal charts, but we're also going to be looking at Pisces because Pisces is also ruled by Jupiter. And we are also going to be looking at Taurus because Jupiter is currently in Taurus. So these are the 3 houses you're going to want to pay attention to in your natal chart as it relates to this new moon. It's Sagittarius, it's Pisces, and it's Taurus. The energies of these 3 houses are sort of what's being highlighted at this new moon. So because the new moon is going down in Sagittarius, whatever house Sagittarius covers in your life, of course, that's where you may want to plant new seeds. For instance, if Sagittarius is your 7th house, you may want to plant seeds of relationship, partnership, marriage, right? But you also want to take a look at Pisces because Jupiter rules Pisces as well. And with Saturn currently in Pisces, our ability to imagine, our ability to dream a big dream and to soar, it's going to be grounded a little bit by that Saturn energy. So suffice it to say, you're going to want to look at where Pisces is. This may also be an area that you're looking to manifest things in right now. But understand the way that the energy is working. Dream a big dream, but be slightly realistic about it. Do not ignore blatant signs or red flags. This is not the time to over idealize things. Dream a big dream, but kind of take your common sense with you. All right. And then finally, we want to take a look at Taurus because Jupiter is currently in Taurus. So I mentioned this before. Jupiter in Taurus really has us examining our values, especially because Jupiter is still currently retrograde in Taurus. So this means, what am I rooted to? Where are my roots right now? Right? In terms of our values. Let's say you're trying to manifest a new relationship, right? Or manifest a new level in a relationship. Perhaps your values, the values in which you are rooted, are limiting you. Maybe your values are, well, I can only be with someone who's of this faith or someone who's of this culture. Meanwhile, there could be an amazing relationship waiting for you with someone who has a completely different viewpoint of life, someone from a different culture. That's just one of the ways that this new moon is going to be operating, right? It's going to show us where we're perhaps limiting ourselves. And with Jupiter in Taurus, that has a lot to do with our values, could have a lot to do with our self-esteem. Maybe we want to reach for the stars, but we feel like we're not worth it, or it's not going to happen for us because we don't deserve it, right? Where are you limiting yourself in your values? Jupiter in Taurus is really going to show you where that is and how to answer that question. So you're going to want to look at Sagittarius, Pisces, and Taurus in your natal chart to see how this new moon may possibly play out for you. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is Neptune. Neptune plays an important role in this particular new moon because it's actually going to be square to the new moon. So the new moon is at 20 degrees of Sagittarius. Neptune is at 21 or maybe 22 degrees of Pisces. So whenever we have a square, it denotes tension and frustration. So for some, you are being urged to think big, right? And Neptune just went direct. So Neptune allows us to dream. It allows us to imagine. It allows us to visualize on a grand scale and with rose-colored glasses what it is that we want to have. But with Sagittarius being square to Pisces, so the new moon being square to Neptune, there's going to be this element of maybe not being able to visualize or maybe being a little too realistic that's preventing you from realizing. Remember, I just said Saturn is currently in Pisces, so it's giving us a little realism, a little common sense when it comes to visualizing and imagining and dreaming, right? But you also don't want to take it to the other extreme where you're too realistic, where you're too grounded, where you're too rooted in reality. You have to find a healthy balance between reaching for the stars and having common sense. Don't be too overly idealistic and again, ignoring red flags or blatant neon signs that the universe is giving you. But also, you don't want to be too rigid. You don't want to be too stuck. You don't want to manifest or plant seeds from a place of what is currently around you. Saturn has everything to do with the 3D, with the real, the things that you can touch, that you can feel, that are actually real in your life. That's not the energy of Sagittarius. Sagittarius wants you to think beyond that, soar beyond that. Remember I said, to have something you've never had before, you've got to do something you've never done before. So reach for the stars, have a little common sense, but find a balance between the two. And then the final astrological component of this new moon in Sagittarius has to do with Mars, because Mars is currently in Sagittarius. And Mars is going to give you some pep in your step. Mars is going to have you motivated and driven to dream big. Remember I said to soar, you need that physical energy, right? Well, Mars is going to provide that to you. Your spirit is going to be all fired up about something perhaps. And Mars is going to be that battery in your back that keeps you going, going, and going like the Energizer Bunny. All right. So this may be real desires that you have, like real dreams. This could be aspirations. This could be goals. This could just be revved up about something that you truly want and desire, right? So Mars is going to give you that oomph, that fire in order to keep that dream alive. All right. Now just be mindful not to burn out. Mars in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a fire sign. So Mars is at home in this fire sign. Mars is feeling good. Mars is feeling fiery, right? Just don't get burnt out. You have to pace yourself with this. Because remember, we're planting the seeds now at this new moon, but you're not going to be eating the fruit today. So although you may be spontaneous, although you may be willing to go on this new adventure and all fired up, you have to be a little patient, because the seed that you plant today is not the fruit that you eat today. All right. So you're going to have to find a way to keep that fire going over the long haul. And the astrology over the next couple of months will facilitate that. All right. If you tap into it, of course. But this is going to give you that oomph, that power to really soar. So use it for that. All right. So now that we've talked about the astrology, let's talk a little manifestation and see what we can do at the time of this new moon to really make our dreams reality. All right. So when it comes to manifestation, I think I've said this phrase quite a few times throughout this video, but I will say it again. To have something you've never had before, you've got to do something you've never done before. Okay. So this may be stepping out of your comfort zone and engaging in things that require you to expand and to grow. Now, on a basic level, Sagittarius is a fire sign, so anything having to do with fire would be great. So when it comes to rituals, you may want to do your candle magic. You may want to burn bay leaves, right? Especially with Mars being in Sagittarius, that fire element, that fire of creation is perfect when it comes to this new moon in terms of rituals. However, I feel like if you take a look around you right now, I'm pretty sure that the universe is urging you to grow or is pushing you to expand in one particular area of your life. And maybe you've been ignoring it, or maybe you think you're not worthy, or maybe whatever, right? Now is the time to really tap into that and examine that, right? Everything about new moons is about intention, and you want to be very intentional, of course, when it comes to any new seeds that you're planting at the new moon. But where in your life, and speaking of being intentional, it's time to be intentional and really think about where in your life would you like to expand, or where is the universe actually trying to expand you? It's time to lean into that. And it's time to really drop a lot of the things that may be holding you back, that may be keeping you small. And it's time to really start to soar. Now, understand, this sounds great, right? This sounds fantastical. It sounds motivating. It sounds hopeful and optimistic, right? But the reality of it is that it may hurt. It may hurt because growing hurts sometimes. And I don't mean necessarily hurt physically or emotionally. It just may be uncomfortable. So look at your life right now and look at where you're experiencing some uncomfortability or some discomfort. This may be a sign of where you are growing or expanding in life. And it really behooves you to take some time to think about this and try to figure out, well, okay, I'm uncomfortable here. Where do I really want to go in this area of my life? What do I really want? And what do I have to do to make that happen? Remember, I said we have to look at Pisces also, because Jupiter rules Pisces. Saturn is currently in Pisces. So what work do I have to do to make this dream a reality? This isn't about just having pie in the sky thoughts. It's about putting a plan in place in terms of the work that needs to be done. All right. So take the time to be intentional and to really examine where you are feeling restricted or where you are feeling uncomfortable in your life currently. This may be where the universe is trying to expand you. The universe may be showing you, listen, you've outgrown this situation. You've outgrown this place. You've outgrown this relationship. It's time for something new. And allow the universe to expand you. Allow the universe to help you grow, right? Meditate on this, really think about this, put a plan together and be intentional about your next steps. But most importantly, allow your spirit to soar. Listen to your intuition and let your spirit live, because that is ultimately guiding you in this new adventure of expansion. All right. So when it comes to that manifestation, planting new seeds, be really intentional about where you want to expand and where the universe is trying to expand you. All right. So now let's get into some channeled messages that I received concerning this new moon in Sagittarius. All right. So the first message I received is this. It says, seek the truth. It's time for masks to come off. This could lead to rockiness or storms in all types of relationships. And I think I just mentioned this before about how maybe you are feeling discomfort or uncomfortability, if that's a word. I don't know. I think I just made that up. In particular situations or in different types of relationships in your life. That may be a signal that it is time to move on, that maybe you've outgrown this situation, or maybe the situation has outgrown the current circumstances, right? So I feel that with this particular message, it's like you have to find the truth of the situation. This is where masks come off. Sagittarius is all about the truth. So is Scorpio. Scorpio is about uncovering the truth, whereas Sagittarius is about discovering the truth. And I feel that at this time, many of us are discovering the truths of certain situations or certain relationships. And this may cause some emotions. It may feel rocky things. It's like the boat is being rocked. The boat is being rocked because it's supposed to move right now. It's supposed to grow. It's supposed to evolve. It's supposed to embark on a whole new journey. So allow the masks to come off. Allow yourself to, I want to say ingest the truth, so that you can finally move on with a relationship or whatever that's really in alignment with who you are and who you are becoming, okay? Like I said before, you're going to want to examine Sagittarius, Pisces, and Taurus in your chart. The presence of Jupiter is all about expansion. So when it comes to your Taurus house, when it comes to your Pisces house, when it comes to your Sagittarius house, these may be the areas of life. And again, you're going to want to look at your natal chart where you are being expanded, where you are being urged to grow. And it's in these areas of life that you may want to plant these new seeds, all right? How is the universe trying to get you out of your comfort zone, right? Remember I said, planting these seeds, you got to be really intentional. And you got to examine your life and be like, okay, where am I experiencing discomfort? And how is the universe trying to expand me? The universe is doing it in a very blatant sort of way. This isn't a situation where you don't really know what's going on. You just have to really look at it for what it is. You have to look at the situation for what it is and try to decipher, how is the universe trying to get me out of my comfort zone? Where is the rubber meeting the road? Where am I between a rock and a hard place? This is where you're going to experience expansion if you allow the universe to help you with that. Okay. Use the power of your imagination to perceive a new reality. So the phrase associated with Sagittarius is I perceive. What is your perception? And is your perception expansive or limited? If it's limited, this may be the time where you really want to work on that, right? In terms of broadening your horizon and expanding your mind, okay? But in any event, this is where you're using your information. You're using your imagination to perceive a new reality. Dream a big dream with this new moon in Sagittarius. So relationships are going to be a focus, right? Because we still have the South Node making its way through Libra, and the South Node in Libra is doing a whole bunch of cleanup when it comes to our relationships. Relationships that aren't equitable, relationships that are one-sided, relationships that are just not fair, right? Relationships that no longer serve you are sort of up on the chopping block, right? And they're up for review with the South Node currently in Libra. So this new moon in Sagittarius may have an undercurrent of relationships to it, right? Especially if you find that you're in relationships that are limiting you, that are stifling your growth. Or maybe you and your partner seek new adventures. You and your partner want to grow into something new. This may be the new moon where you set those intentions and plant those seeds. Imagine your dream relationship or situation or whatever, but be realistic. And I said this before, this is the presence of Saturn in Pisces. Stop ignoring blatant signs and red flags. Dream a big dream, but take your fucking common sense with you, okay? Like if you see all these red flags, don't be like, oh, well, I'm still whatever. No, this is a time to be a little realistic, all right? So do that. Limits and expansion. Mercury is currently in Capricorn. It's actually set to go retrograde in Capricorn on December 13th. Mercury in Capricorn can indicate restrictive thinking. So where are you limiting yourself via your thoughts? What kind of narrative are you saying to yourself, or what kind of narrative are you believing? It may be limiting. It may be keeping you small. It may be preventing you from dreaming big and soaring. So check your thoughts. Remember I said, this isn't the new moon to think of things to manifest because they make logical sense or because you think I can get this thing, so let me plant this seed. No, figure out where your thoughts are limiting and do your best to try to expand them. Allow yourself to see things from a different perspective. That's the first step in expanding your mind and tapping into the energy of Sagittarius. Okay. There's going to be a revival, perhaps, of something you're deeply passionate about. So maybe there was something you were passionate about, but you kind of psyched yourself out about it. You were like, I don't think I can get this. I shouldn't have this. This goes against everything I believe. Or maybe my friends, family are going to whatever. They're going to think or say whatever. This is the time where you may experience a revival of that. Maybe it was dead and buried inside you. Maybe you were like, oh, I really want this thing, but I know I can't have it or I shouldn't have it. So you killed that dream. This new moon in Sagittarius may revive. Your spirit may be revived with respect to this particular dream. Listen to it. Allow the universe to expand that dream. We don't have dreams for no reason. The dreams we have, the desires we want, typically sometimes it is the divine planting those desires within us because it is in alignment with not only who we are, not only our highest good, but who we are meant to become, right? Sometimes if a dream doesn't transpire in the moment, it's not a no. It may be a not right now or not here or not with this person, right? Pay attention to whatever dreams are revived at this time. They're being revived at this time for a very specific reason. And it really, 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 the universe is like, I really want you to pursue this. And it may not make logical sense. It may feel uncomfortable. It may require things of you that you don't currently have or you don't currently believe you are. That's the point. The point is to expand you and allow you to grow. Okay? All right. Now, again, there's a revival of some sort of dream, right? But is your thinking or your emotions undermining this dream? Remember, I just said Mercury and Capricorn, restrictive thinking. Jupiter and Taurus may also be alerting you to where you're rooted in values that no longer serve you or are outdated. And it's almost like these are like programs that are running in your subconscious. So are these dreams being undermined by restrictive thinking and restrictive values? That's why I said you have to take some time with this new moon to really examine these things and be intentional about what you are planting. But you have to be real. You have to be real and you have to really understand where you're being limited, where you're playing small, and what is keeping you small and limited. All right. So examine those things before you plant these new seeds. Again, what are your values? That goes to what I was just saying. Expecting the worst or preparing for the worst. Everything is about your perception. Now, this is where we sort of transcend logic and we really tap into that Sagittarian energy, which is thinking about the future, the big dream, being able to soar, right? It's all about perception. What are you perceiving? How do you perceive the world to be? And is your perception limiting you? Is your perception making you prepare for the worst or cower in fear? And it's from that place that you're trying to manifest. I was talking to someone the other day and I was giving them the example of saving money. You've got two people who have decided to save money. One person is saving money because they are fearful. The world is going to end. There's war. There's recession. They're like, I have to save every bit of my coin because the world is going to end. You're never going to know what's going to happen. And they're saving from a place of fear. Meanwhile, you've got the other person who's also saving, but they're saving from a place of abundance. They're like, listen, I'm saving because I want enough money to invest in something so my money can work for me. Both people have the same goal, but they each have a different perception of reality. And that perception, that belief is ultimately what's going to manifest, right? That fear of money from that lack mentality is only going to manifest more lack and more fear, more situations to cower and be afraid. Whereas that manifesting from abundance and proliferation is only going to provide more opportunities of that abundance and proliferation. So understand where your perception is coming from and what your perception is rooted in. This is going to make the difference between manifesting abundance, right? Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, which is all about abundance. This is the time to manifest abundance. But from where are you trying to manifest abundance? What state are you in? Is it a state of lack and fear, or is it a state of abundance and proliferation? Like I said about the number 2, you decide. It's ultimately your choice, right? And then finally, everything will be revealed to you in due time. And this speaks a lot to Mars in Sagittarius. Remember I said Mars in Sagittarius, it's revved up. It's a battery in your back. You're really ready to go, right? It's almost like you expect immediate results. Sagittarius is all about the truth. And so you're expecting things to be, quick and in a hurry, right? Like, I want this now. Everything has to be rocket speed. We're doing this. We're doing that. Cool. But understand that the truth will be revealed over time. So you have to keep your eyes open and you have to be patient. This, again, the seed you plant today is not the fruit that you eat today. And things will be revealed over time. So keep your eyes open. Allow the universe to enhance your vision, expand your vision. All right. This is a very powerful new moon to manifest abundance, to manifest things that you have not experienced in your life, but that you've dreamed about for so long. But you have to realize where you are being limited, and being willing to go through the growing pains of transcending that limitation so you can ultimately soar. All right. All right, my loves, that concludes this video on the new moon in Sagittarius. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use to your advantage to soar during this new moon. For information on my products and services, they are either tagged to the video or in the description box below, so don't forget to check them out. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have an amazing new moon in Sagittarius, and I will see you in my next video, all right? Take care.